Alright, welcome to round 10, MSXC, the Slab. This was located at the campgrounds here, and it was the last race of the season for the winter series for MSXC. This is Senior C, row 16. I'm on my 1993 Honda XR 600R. It's a nice day, high just under 60, hadn't rained since Friday, and in general was one of the best conditioned tracks we had since the fall. Very little mud, just really good traction, not dusty, no complaints there. I'm not sure exactly how long the course was. I ended up doing 6 laps. Most of my laps were in the 23 to 24 minute range, so that tells me it was closer to 6 miles based on my normal speeds. Although this course had a lot of places, as you'll see, that allowed you to kind of open it up. Not super technical. Got this good creek run here, but a couple hill climbs, some off camber, single track, but nothing too bad. You'll see on this first lap here a couple slow down areas for people, but nothing, no big showstoppers. So it was actually a really good course for the XR 600. Here's the first big hill. Second gear all the way. Well, I may have passed some of the guys in my class. But yeah, this is a course that the 600 actually had some advantages. The hill climbs especially, just the torque of the motor. It could really hook up and climb. For hooking up, I still got the M5B in the back and a 130 width that I put on before last race, and I just had put in a fresh VX40 9090 up front, so it performed great. That's just a really good tire, unless it's super muddy or something. I really like that tire. So this is the second time I'd been at this location. This was the site of KXCR Round 1 in 2023. And so I had some familiarity with, especially the 2 big hills. Probably the third most noteworthy feature is a downhill that you'll see, and that was new to this course. That's not something we'd done before. And really for me in this bike was probably the scariest feature on the course. The hill climbs were really no big deal. But I've just had trouble in the past, most notably the Whiskey River race that I did on this bike, where downhills I just have trouble getting the bike slowed down. It's not that the brakes are bad or anything. The brakes are, I would call them good, but they just got a lot of momentum there. Little hole there in the track. Couple jumps to the left. A lot of this open area, we were kind of slightly off camber all the time. It took me a while to figure out how well I was going to hold up there. So this first field area, those jumps to the left were kind of optional. Later on, there'll be some jumps that they force you to go through. It's fun. This is kind of the first technical off camber area. You see some guys struggling a little bit. I'm able to keep forward progress without too much issue. There were some roots and stuff there that would get you if you weren't careful. Some of these places were just a lot rougher than you might think. You think, oh, you're in an open field and I can really open it up, but it got quite bouncy. Danger sign. This is the first downhill you had to be a little bit careful on, but it wasn't that treacherous. This is not the one I became worried about. This one I just kind of go slow down the first part and click it into second gear on the way down and get going here. But I will say, coming up here is the first real bottleneck, and really only bottleneck. You see some guys heading back down. I just kind of gotta snake my way through here when the opportunity arises. This first lap was the only time it was really much trouble. All my subsequent laps I was able just to kind of make it up because there wasn't any traffic. I thought I had made it kind of clean here, and then I got stuck on a rock right here and kind of had to settle back and give it another shot. Then I get going again. So a little bottleneck, not too bad. I think this is a cool course, just a lot of variety. Be a good place to come and visit, come and camp. So here's the big hill. Cash gave us two options, right or left, and left leveled out sooner, so I always went to the left. It was longer total distance, but and honestly I probably could have made the right. I just knew I could make the left, and so I did that each time. Up ahead of me there is, I believe, is Jim Owens, Master C. So that's the row behind me, so he's caught up with my row already. Was coming off of an injury and kind of doing a practice race before going GNCC this summer. He wants to run some GNCC, so use this race as practice. I used to race MKXCR in the senior class before he turned 50. I want to say he won that series. That was a couple years ago. I think that's Chad Lester that just passed me. He ended up winning my class. He got first place. I didn't quite catch where I had passed him. I must have been at that pile up or something. There's Yamaha YZ250FX, I think it is. I think he's really liking that bike. And I believe he told me this is the first time he'd won in an MSXC. It's this last race here, this series. Here comes the jumps that they make us do. No going around. No big deal, but the landings kind of got soft. You almost kind of ended up jumping into ruts, which, you know, if I was a motocross guy, it would be normal, but this third one I thought was a little bit unsettling when you landed. Later on, that tape broke to the right and people just started going around it. And they took us through this kind of place that looked like they'd been cutting down some trees. I don't know if this is where they get their wood to burn for the campsites or what's going on here. First time through this, I thought it was, I don't know, just kind of annoying, but as the race went on, I was able to kind of carry a higher gear and just kind of roll through it pretty good. Banks started to develop and gave us something to ride. Then we go out through the field again. So with all this open and everything, and nothing too technical, there was one really good thing for me this race is I never stalled the engine, and I never really dropped the bike. I think there's a place here in this first lap where I come close to dropping it, but I keep it upright and never falls. So that's a first for me on this bike or any bike. So up here on the right is the nasty downhill, and this is what I came to dread each lap. About the third and fourth lap, I finally kind of figured it out and was able to maybe just keep a level head, but it was kind of terrifying these first couple laps. And it kind of starts out like, what's the big deal here? I think I go ahead and I pass this guy because I'm like, why do we got to be going so slow? But there is a reason why we need to be going so slow. Starts where that guy's standing right there. Now the problem is there's kind of a bump that about 6 foot right there that kind of throws your suspension off. But anyway, I made it. I do not like downhills. I've had some bad experiences. It's a pretty good little run here up this hill that kind of snakes up. Across the field again. But yeah, it was pretty cool to kickstart the bike at the start of the race, and that's the only time I kickstarted the bike. I didn't turn the engine off until I rode up into my truck at the end, so that was a good feeling. Consequently, I felt good during this race. I didn't expend any energy restarting the bike or picking up the bike. So it was one of my strongest races in terms of just feeling good. I end up in 4th place. I'm not sure where I am at the end of this lap, but I end up in 4th place. And that's the 3rd time I had gotten 4th place this series. So never was able to put it on the podium with the XR600, but I really can't be too upset with 4th. And for the series, I believe I'm going to end up in 7th place. Now, how does that compare? Last year I was 5th place on a 300 two-stroke, so all things the same, which they weren't. I'm 2 places slower on the 600 than the 300. Here's another little place people were kind of hesitant. Kind of rocky or rooty intro to this section, and you just kind of have to jump in. I tried to work around these guys that were stuck, and I didn't do too bad of a job with that. The 600 is just a finesse bike. So this turn right here is where I get a little bit off. I have to roll it back. For whatever reason, I just was not in the position to make that sharp of a turn. Later on, I learned to use that bank and just kind of ride the bank and make a sharp right turn. But that turn caught me off guard for some reason. But stayed on the bike and didn't kill it. All's good. So speaking of KXCR, there's no plans as of yet for KXCR this year, which bums me out. That was the reason why I bought this XR600. I was able to run it in their adventure class. And then I thought, well, to get a little bit practice in, I'll start using this bike as a regular old hair scramble bike. Did the IXCR race at Whiskey River, and then I did this MSXC series thinking I will be totally ready for adventure bike racing this spring, but right now there's nothing planned, so I don't know what I'm going to do. This may be the last race on the 600, or it might not be. When you have a good clean run like this, I don't know why I'd want to change. In a course like this, the 600 does a really good job, so I'm not really dying to stop racing it, but I hadn't really planned on it being my regular bike, but I've had fun doing it, and when it does well, it does real well. If I think back to the Glacier run, I mean, yeah, I dropped it a lot, but I was hooking up and going places a lot of guys weren't able to on the lighter weight bikes. The first mudder we had, it did great. The second mudder we had, it did awful. So it just kind of depends. But if you get something like this that's a little more open and you're able to use the speed of the bike, and maybe hill climbs are the biggest challenge, then it really does well. Section here, or a ditch of some sort. There really wasn't any water in it, but and we kind of have some rolling hills here on our way way down to the riverbank, so we get to actually race along a river. Again, just a lot of good variety. Drop down in to the river bank, and it's super soft. I just kind of go as far left as I need to see kind of some dry ground. Power through it pretty good. An embarrassing moment in front of the crowd. I realized I need to be in first and I hit neutral. Oh well. I want to say I really enjoyed this series this winter. As a MSXC is a well-organized race series, and I might do some Cash's series at Crossroads this summer. Haven't decided yet, but definitely would be going to, and hope to see you guys next winter, if not before. Have a good one.